Hello, welcome back. Now that we have finished our recording, we're going to add cameras, markers, and highlights to our playback lesson. Let's get started. So first off, what we want to do is come in here and add a camera. So we'll go to our navigation presets here and we'll right click and we'll add a new nav cam preset and we'll name it start cam. And you'll see our attributes come up here in the left, and we'll just name this camera _1 as our display name. And it comes up with our focus position from when we first start. By adding the camera, it automatically locks those coordinates in. And the same with all our other attributes here. So you really don't have to manually input these unless you want to. And we can also come in here and change our camera position by hitting right click and put set from display. Yes, now you'll see our coordinates have changed. So let's actually come in here and give it more of a top-down feel. About there is good enough. We'll set from display from there. Alright, to add that in, we can either come into our add a row, or we can come into our insert manual attribute action. That's what we'll do. And these 4 buttons are only accessible when not playing, so when you're recording you can add these steps in. So we'll come in here, control space. This will bring up our call out box, and we can come over here and we're looking for main camera control dot apply navigation preset. So we got that, and we're going to enter the name of our camera, which is start cam. We'll click OK. Now we have that camera in our view. I'll maneuver around, so when we hit play, it'll now snap to our camera and it will run through our lesson here. So now we have our camera in here. Let's go ahead and add in a marker. So our markers are used to make steps for our checklist. So let's come in here, and the next button I'll talk about is right here, which is our marker. We'll insert that, and we'll tell it to remove nut and lampshade. And that's our marker for here. And generally it takes 2 seconds for it to finish, so this will work out here 2 seconds afterwards, and it'll immediately show up at lesson start. Next one is we want to do it for changing the light bulb. So we'll say change the light bulb with the new light bulb. Actually, we'll put change the old light bulb with the new light bulb. Now we have that marker there, and the last one is put together lamp. Put the lamp shade and nut back on. So we have those markers there. Now we'll go ahead and hit play, and you'll notice that it will not show up in the editor. So what we need to do now is go ahead and hit build and launch, which is this button up here. And if you don't have this project saved out, it will save out automatically. So now you'll see that we don't have our lesson, and so if you don't see it, this is what we have to do. Come over to our resource panel and right click on lessons, and we're adding a new playback lesson, and it'll come up with a blank field here and choose recording. We want to come down here and choose replace the light bulb recording, and it automatically fills in our name, so we don't have to do any typing here unless you want to insert your custom lesson name. We'll click OK. You'll see that we have presets over here on the left, or our attributes, and we want to go ahead and include our nav preset, which is the camera that we created, and we'll have that as start camera. Check that off, click OK. The parts tree we'll get into a little later, including support equipment. We'll also get into that a little later. Our recordings are set up here. So if we have multiple recordings, we don't have to actually delete this lesson. We can just replace the recording. Our buttons are our DVD style controls buttons, which I went over in our playback lesson review. And here's our sidebar, and this is what I'll show you now. When we build and launch, the sidebar will come up and I'll explain those. Now we have our lesson. On the left here we have our sidebar, and as you can see, our navigation preset is here, camera 01, that's what our display name was. And we have our steps, which are markers found here. We have our instructions, we haven't done that yet. Part descriptions, we haven't inputted anything for that. And our parts tree, which is our selectable parts, and we haven't done that yet either. So we can hit play, and you'll notice our markers are now here. You notice there's a little bit of a timing issue, so we can go in and fix that real quick. Let's do that now. Also, I want to change the lighting, so we can come over to our environment tab and change our lighting rig now to studio. This should work out better for us. We'll come into our timeline here and we'll go ahead and change this. So the marker comes up 2 seconds after, and then animated shade comes up, and then we want this marker to wait 2 seconds to after our shade has finished animating. Let's clean this number up here. We want this to happen 4 seconds because I have the compact fluorescent bulb animating at animated time is 4 seconds. And then the shade can be removed down to 2. Let's clean that number up 2. And we can clean this ending number up to 2. And now we have a cleaner timeline here. What's going on? Go ahead and hit play. And that looks better in the timing for that. Let's hit build and launch. Come to our lesson. Take a look at that. Now we're kind of seeing what's going on here. It's a lot better. So I'll hit our nav camera preset. So if we move our camera to somewhere and we want to get back to our original camera, we can double click on it or click on it and it will snap us back to our camera that we set up. So that's finished the lesson. Let's go ahead and X that out. The next thing we'll do is insert instructions. So we can use this button right here, which is our insert instructions, and we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll give it instructions by saying twist off the nut and remove the lamp shade. And this is a little different from your actual steps. This is actually instructions that you will give the user, and they can be more detailed that you want your user to do. So we'll add one for the light bulb. Replace the old burnt bulb with the new compact fluorescent bulb. And we'll just put our instruction down here to reinstall the nut and lampshade. Click OK. Now we'll have our instructions. Go ahead and build and launch. Click on our playback lesson. We have our instructions here. Twist off the nut and remove the lampshade. And we also have our instructions as it goes through. It removes the lampshade, we cross it off the list, then it gives us our next instruction, replace the old burnt bulb with a new compact fluorescent bulb. And goes on to our next one. So that's that. The last thing we need to do is go over that last button, which is adding highlights and flashing. So we can come over here and click on our equipment.nut, and we'll go ahead and add our flash on that way by clicking our insert highlight action, and we'll come over here to the part name. We'll search for it, equipment.nut, and our action is turn on, turn off, and flash. We want our flash to happen here, and down below is our flash settings. We can have it cycle 4 times, which means it's going to flash 4 times, and every cycle it's going to flash at 0.5 by default. I want to change this to 0.25, so a quarter of a second it will flash. And let's go back to that. The total time is 1, which is not active because I don't have it on, and the final state I want it off, so that looks good. We can also import one for the shade, and we'll do that. It remembers all the last steps that you've done, and we'll start typing in shade. It'll find it, and everything else looks good. We'll input this for all of them. Burnt bulb. We'll input one for this. And we'll input one for the shade and nut again to install them. Make sure you click OK. Control space is your friend. There we go. Now we'll go through this, and now you'll notice all our objects have highlights on them. Now we got to kind of go in here and fix some of the time. You can preview the highlights in the preview mode. The only thing we can't preview is our markers, so let's go ahead and fix the timing on our highlights. So after our marker shows up, we'll wait 2 seconds for that to clear. Then we'll wait 1 second for it to animate, and then 2 seconds for that to finish animating. So it's kind of coming in here and crunching the numbers to work out what's best for you. There we go. We have this all set up. Let's go ahead and build and launch. Choose our playback lesson. We have our highlighting, then it animates, so you kind of know what to focus on. And there we have it, our complete lesson. That wraps that up. So the next video that we'll do is to make this lesson interactive, and I'll show you how easy that is. Thanks for watching.